Hello, and welcome to The Mind of a Therapist, a podcast where we interview psychotherapists and helping professionals what they are passionate about in order to provide you with messages of encouragement and hope. The Mind of a Therapist is sponsored by Psychological Counseling Services, PCS, Healing Hearts and Transforming Lives. Please look into our intensive program at pcsintensive.com. I am Dr. Marcus Earle, the Clinical Director of PCS. Each episode will be hosted by me or another PCS therapist. Please enjoy the following discussion. Hi, this is Dr. Marcus Earle. I'm your host today for Mind of a Therapist, and I'm sitting across from Dr. Erin Buggy. And so, Erin, it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I would love for you just to introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So colleagues know me as Dr. Buggy, but most everybody else, including clients, they call me Erin. So I'll let you call me that. I have been in the psychology field for about 8 years now. I've assumed various roles, worked with a lot of different clients and populations. But really my passion is working with people who have experienced trauma throughout their life and helping them to work through the various impacts that, trauma kicks up.
Yes, that is huge. What kind of drew you into the field? I mean, because it's a long journey. You have a doctorate. And
Long and arduous.
right. You got an exam left.
Yeah.
And then you'll be done, which will be quite wonderful.
Yeah.
But what drew you into the field?
Yeah. I remember being a little kid, like really little kid, and just being really fascinated by the human condition, really curious about people. And then even in high school, when I had free time, I'd go to the library and I would check out stacks of books on personality and, different kinds of conditions and just, everything psychology and human experience related. And I'd pore over them. I'd study them. I found them so fascinating. And that curiosity and that interest in humans, it continued. I ended up, going to college and studying something else and then having a family. And then after my children got a little bit older is when I really kind of came back to this curiosity and this interest. And it was at that point that I decided to, earn my doctorate. And I have to tell you that when I had my first semester of courses and I got immersed in, thinking about psychology and studying humans and just learning more, it felt to me like a fish finding water. It was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for, and searching for. And so it was real confirmation that I was in the right place. And I haven't doubted it since.
Yeah. That's fantastic. We took very different trajectories younger.
Oh yeah.
I avoided the library. That was not my curiosity at the time. What I relate to though is, once I got into my master's program in marriage family therapy and the doctorate, that was like this. This just fits me. So it's lovely hearing you say that.
Was it a surprise for you when you got into that and you found that it fit, or did you have a sense?
I had a sense that was developed through undergrad.
Okay.
Because I was searching. I took a number of different classes in undergraduate, searching for what my passion was going to be.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't big on school even in undergrad.
Okay.
It was still more of a have to in my mind. I'm not sure that actually ever changed.
It's a means to an end, really.
Right. So I did land on psychology as a major, minor in religion, and both those things ended up being more relational, about people, like the history, and so that did fit. So I did find the path,
Yeah.
which was wonderful, and thankfully I got turned down by psychology programs because my test scores were not supportive of getting into those. Again, not reading textbooks when you're younger.
It caught up to you.
to catch up. But I did get into marriage harmony therapy, and that was a better fit for me.
Okay.
A systems mindset it just is the way I think about things.
Yeah.
And so it was great. So now, been practicing for a while, because all the practice you do to get to this point. What are you enjoying most about the work?
Yeah. Again, it harkens back to being a little kid. I always had this sense that I wanted to leave the world better than I found it, that I wanted to have some kind of positive impact in some way. And so being in this field, there are so many different options for how we serve, for how we assist. And what I love so much is that we get to assist in really direct ways. It's not us working on the back end and then there's 3 people in between us and the client. Right. We work directly with clients, and we get to make deep and meaningful connections and help them find connection with themselves and what matters to them. And for me, that experience of being with and helping people to learn to help themselves by knowing themselves and growing in themselves, that is it's a really meaningful way to serve. And it leaves me feeling like, at least in my little corner of the world, I get to, leave the world a little better than I found it.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying as you're talking. It's very easy to see that little girl still in you, with that curiosity and that desire and to connect and support people.
Yeah.
Which are definitely strengths of yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how would you describe your work? And I would certainly like for you to touch on for a moment this new technique you've developed. So why don't you share with us about that?
Yeah. So the technique, it's more formally known as the layered symbolic narrative. In short form, it is LSN, which we kind of colloquially refer to as the listen technique, yes. Or even more shorthand, it's just listen, right? So we'll talk about it as listen. This technique was not something that I set out to develop. It was something that sort of came to be through a combination of different kind of theoretical concepts and intervention strategies that I had been exposed to over the years. Yeah. So part of its influence is animal-assisted therapy. It has influence in person-centered therapy, which is really trying to get inside of the experience of another person and kind of see things how they see things and understand things how they understand things. And so as I was, learning and kind of pulling in all these different things, I started to tinker with using small symbolic objects to represent different aspects of a person's experience. And it began, I was actually TAing in a group therapy course, and the professor who was doing a mock group, she brought in a bag of really nondescript rocks. And she had everybody pick a rock who was pretending to be a group member. Everybody pick a rock that represented something about themselves that they were open to sharing. And I was awestruck that a bag of basic desert rocks could evoke such interesting information, and that it cut right past the surface level kind of barriers, that we often have up with other people. Using these rocks to have people describe themselves, it right away got to the heart of something more meaningful. And it wasn't only more meaningful, but it was actually more memorable. Like to this day, probably, 4 or 5 years ago, I can still remember what some of the people shared and which rock they
that's
picked,
really cool.
which was so neat to me. So I ended up taking that inspiration plus what else I was doing and kind of, incorporating that into some different groups that I was running with people who were in substance use recovery, and then with individuals a year later who were experiencing serious mental illness, and then coming back into PCS is, it was a unique opportunity to utilize this developing technique with clients who were in the intensive program.
Yes.
And as I was utilizing it more and more, and there was, pretty meaningful feedback coming from it, what I realized is that there was a clear formula and kind of technique, at the heart of it. And so at that point, we decided to give it a name and advance it forward. Yeah.
Great use of your experience in mind. Because you also did a dissertation.
I did.
Developed, yeah. Can you speak to that just for a moment?
Yeah. So my dissertation, it was looking at conceptualizing treatment of complex PTSD in adults with childhood trauma. And so what I did for that was develop a theoretical framework that helps clinicians to conceptualize what clients with, developmental trauma might be experiencing, what they might be needing, and then how you can approach that in a very integrative way in treatment. And the origin story of that framework was actually from working at PCS when I was here years ago for my first practicum training. It's quite an experience for the interns who do their training here, because you get exposed to such a broad range of dynamics and so much depth in terms of the work that's done. And yet you see all that breadth and all that depth over an 8-day period, and then on repeat week after week with multiple clients. And so I ended up leaving that training year going, what the heck was all of that? I need to make sense of all of this. And so I just kind of mapped out kind of the themes and things that I had started to identify. And then I brought it to my professor, who was going to be my chair for my original dissertation topic. And I showed it to her, and she goes, oh, that's a framework. And so from there, that became the dissertation and something that I'm very passionate about too. So PCS has been a very important part of some of my creating and developing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And obviously what you're doing is very important to us as well. So
Thank you.
It's quite a mind you have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what are your goals professionally from here? I mean, you've already accomplished quite a few things. Where do you think you're headed?
Well, I hope to not be headed out of PCS. I love it here. It is a delightful place to be.
Agree.
And, as far as where I'm headed, part of the reason that I decided to get a doctorate over a master's in psychology was that I wanted to get to a place where I had as little red tape as possible. And so the most opportunities to do whatever it is that, sang to my heart, at different points in my career. And I've always been somebody who liked to have multiple irons in the fire, some different days to show up to, and some different passion projects and some different missions to accomplish. And so while I certainly see myself being heavily involved with the intensive work that we do and with the local clients that I serve, I also have a heart for teaching and for sharing and imparting, what I've had the privilege of learning. And so I would love to do some adjunct teaching over time. I would love to lead workshops like for the Listen technique. There's been quite a few people interested in learning how to utilize the technique. And so developing trainings. I've been told I should write. I'm not sure if that's what I want to do, but maybe at some point there'll be some writing. And so really just having some of those irons in the fire at different points along the way, things that allow me to share, connect, and ultimately create.
Nice. So lastly, I think you've already mentioned some of this. What's enjoyable about being at PCS for you?
Yeah. We could wrap this up faster if you asked me what's not enjoyable. I find PCS delightful. You know, when I was here 5 years ago for my first training, I actually counted down the months until I could come back because I liked it so much. And I think it's got multiple key ingredients that for me really work, but we have an incredible team of providers of all skill sets and different abilities and perspectives and training backgrounds and personality characteristics. I mean, we have it all, and I think it's such a treat to get to work with such a powerful and skillful and compassionate group of people. That sense of teamwork and the way we do it is powerful, and I think it's rare for people to work that well together doing the type of work that we do. So I really treasure that. In seeing all of the different, people at the table, so to speak, I am constantly inspired and intrigued and encouraged and sometimes insecure, and it kind of kicks up all the things. Yes, yeah. But that keeps me very stimulated, and so I really like that. Yeah. The other thing that I love and that I think really never gets old is this arc that happens in each of the clients we work with in the intensive. So I first see people on Sunday afternoon when they're not even 24 hours into their 70 hours of treatment. And then I see some of them at the latest at 5 o'clock that next Friday. So they've had almost the 70 hours at that point. And I have to tell you that almost always it is like sitting with a different person at the end of the week than who I met toward the beginning of the week. And it's like the lights come on inside of the person. Like you can almost sense the brightness and the lightness and the spaciousness that they have begun to experience. And they're more connected and grounded in themselves. And so there's a spontaneity and an openness and often a joyfulness and a lightness by that point. There's so much that they've unburdened, so much they've learned, so much they've connected to, and you can see it visually, you can sense it energetically, and you can hear it in what they're sharing. And to me, that is absolutely awe-inspiring. It's my favorite time in the week is just to get to see, like, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It is very special. Well, I do appreciate you joining me for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. All right, take care.
Okay, and you.
Please press the subscribe button, as well as rating and providing a review of our podcast. This helps others to connect with what you have been hearing. If you have any questions, please contact us at themindofatherapist@gmail.com. These questions will be kept anonymous. I want to thank Eric Price for the wonderful music you hear in this podcast. Additionally, this podcast was created to provide accurate and authoritative information on the subject matter. Although we are interviewing licensed therapists, they are not your therapist. This podcast is not intended to serve as direct medical advice and should not be used as a substitute for direct professional help. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, publisher, guest, or PCS are rendering legal, medical, or clinical professional information. If you need a professional, we encourage you to find one. Visit Psychology Today to find a licensed clinician near you. It is. I think it's brilliant what you've done. And, I get to, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday morning in group here, with some regularity. Yeah, what Erin did with me, it really impacted me. And then they share a little bit about that. So that's exciting. And what's also exciting is that you are planning and developing some trainings.
Mm-hmm.
Could you just say a little bit about what you're hoping to do there?
Yeah, so I am developing a training. The hope is to have it launched early 2026, where participants, therapists would be coming to learn how to utilize this technique. But it would be a weekend-long training where they get to, kind of have the theoretical understanding that underpins this approach, and also learn how to assemble a tray, learn how to utilize the different pieces to troubleshoot, and kind of some of the various things that can come up. And then if they should wish to utilize it in their own practices, they can. What's neat about the tray and the technique that goes with it is that it is really flexible and can be incorporated into any theoretical orientation or approach to treatment that a therapist has.
Yes.
And so it's something that can be used as an adjunct, not a replacement for what they might already be doing.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, which is wonderful. So you're not trying to change how somebody practices.
Mm-mm.
You're just adding another technique or tool for them to use.
Yes,
which is great.
the technique itself is a three-phase process. It has more of a structure to it, although it has flexibility. However, that's the technique. The tool is the tray with the curated objects in it. And that tool actually can be a wonderful assistive device in quote unquote regular, talk therapy sessions, because it allows clients to capture and speak to and remember and stay focused on certain things that maybe would otherwise be hard to do. So the tool in and of itself is pretty neat too.
Well, I'm very excited and looking forward to you passing on, your knowledge.
Thank you.
The creation of your mind, and thank you for taking the time to talk this through with us right now.
Thank you, Marcus.